Reaction to the news this week?
I was a bit disappointed because all three major operations of Bombardier are not providing cash, the cash needed for the operations of the company. So the management is trying to generate liquidity because they have to invest in the business jet, the Global 7500. So the all three activities did not do well last year. So dice rolled on the wrong side. So it was a difficult year for Bombardier. So the market was really disappointed. The stock lost 25%. This morning it's a little bit higher, but Bombardier, we hope it's the end of the nightmare for Bombardier.
Well, just to go back on the challenges with generating enough cash, is that just market conditions, or do you think management plays a role in how much cash the businesses are generating?
Last year they lost, they burned $1 billion. So I think this year they will receive $1.1 billion from the sale of different operations. So I think there is no problem. Bombardier will survive. But the problem of the rail division was always providing $300, $400, $500 million to contribute to the air division. But last year, the problem with the train, mainly in the UK market, is that the train are more and more software, and these software are very difficult. It's very difficult to manage them. So that's why Bombardier lost $350 million in the rail division last year. So I think the difficulties of the rail division is really a big handicap for the corporation last year.
So just to clarify, even though you are not with the Caisse anymore, do you feel the company still has a strong commitment, confidence from the Caisse de dépôt?
I think the Caisse has made an agreement, so Bombardier should pay between 12 and 15% interest on the investment of the Caisse in the rail division. So for the Caisse management, it's not a problem. They will get the money at a very, very good rate of interest. So, but the question now, it's true that the Caisse, if it today would have to reconsider the investment in the rail division, because, as I told you, more and more a train is a matter of software. It's really a big computer. So in the locomotives, in the engine, so it's much more complicated than it was in the past years. So I think it will be more challenging in the coming years for the rail division.
Given all of those developments, it's a key reason why yesterday the company said that they are thinking about the future of their partnership with Airbus for the former C series, the A220, because that too requires, given the encouraging signs of growth there, that will require additional capital commitments. What do you think happens there? What do you think ultimately Bombardier does?
I think, unfortunately, the Bombardier C-Series is a big commercial success. Unfortunately, Bombardier is not gaining from this success. It's Airbus company, the French company, is really selling many hundreds of planes from the new name Airbus 220. The problem is that they need cash. The partners, the three partners in Airbus Canada, Airbus France, the Quebec government, and Bombardier, they should provide cash in order to invest in the facilities, in order to improve the number of production of the 220. And Bombardier itself should invest $975 million just to keep the machine rolling at the 220. And unfortunately, Bombardier does not have that money. So Bombardier will have to say we renounce to our right to participate in the Airbus development in Canada because we do not enough liquidity. What will the Quebec government will do? I don't know. But right now, this division of Airbus Canada is doing very well. They hired more than 700 new employees last year in Mirabel. Now they have close to 3,000 employees because the production of the former C-Series is doing very well.
Michel, you talked about survival. You said this is a company that will, at the end of the day, in your opinion, survive. If we also think about the road ahead in terms of the ownership structure, we even did a poll yesterday where some people felt like perhaps this company could go private. What are the odds, do you think, of Bombardier going private at this point?
I think Bombardier will remain generate cash. It will be a great success. Outside that, we don't know what will happen with the rail division. The rail sector is really in great trouble. Bombardier competitors, French and German companies, are sharing the same problems too. So I think it's the future. Will the management of Bombardier will succeed in changing to improve the management of the rail division? That's another question. Will Bombardier remain the owner of 70% of the rail division? I'm not sure. And the last point is the participation in the Airbus Canada. I think on this side, I think Bombardier will not be a future participant and will renounce to his 33% of the Airbus Canada because they do not have enough cash. So Bombardier will be a much smaller company, airline company, airline producer, airplane producer. Mm-hmm. So I think it will be smaller. It will be a viable company, but unfortunately, the decision to build the C-Series was a very costly one. They have to pay for that, and the company squeezed. And I think at the end of this year, we will probably see a future better, the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel, right, for a much smaller corporation, Canadian corporation, which will remain a good player in the airplane market in the world.
Michel, we're really pretty much out of time, but just to clarify, the idea of the company going private as opposed to being a public stock, just given some of those challenges on the rail side that they have to work through, what odds do you think that could happen?
I don't know. It's because the rail division is managed from Berlin in in Germany. So what they will do, we do not understand really what's going on in the rail division because it was a division which was doing very well 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now, what is happening with the software in the UK market, in the Swiss market too, we really don't understand if it's just temporary problems or they are really structural challenges that could take hundreds of $millions to solve. And Bombardier does not have these hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in the rail division. So we will see, but I would say it's 50-50 that in 3, 4, 5 years from now, Bombardier will still be a shareholder of the rail division.
Interesting. Okay, Michel, thanks very much for your insight. As always, we appreciate having you. Michel Nadeau, Executive Manager of the Institute for Governance and the former Deputy CEO of the Caisse de dépôt on the Bombardier story. We're going to take